For the truth, I look better under you. I can lose when I'm with you. How can us lose and miss the moment? You just too important. Nobody like you do.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, it's going to be a little bit different from my usual content. Let me know if you guys enjoy this type of thing, but I do bake on the side as like a little side hustle, and my friend was actually having a bridal shower, so I decided to super last minute surprise her and make her like a little bridal shower cake. I was actually filming this at my mom's house because it was just a lot closer to the shower, so I stayed by her that day, and I honestly didn't even think to bring all my tools because, like I said, it was a last minute decision. So I'm gonna be showing you guys how to elevate a box cake mix and kind of turn it somewhat professional and just more elevated taste. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this one. I did also show you how I like decorate ice, make buttercream, all the things. So if you're interested in this type of thing, definitely let me know in the comments below. But I hope you can learn something from this video and give it a try. Okay, so let's get right into it. Like I said, we're elevating the box mix, so I'm just making a few substitutes. I used milk instead of water. As you guys saw, I used butter instead of oil, and then I'm adding vanilla extract. And this is just a little bit of Greek yogurt. The reason I added this little amount in was because I actually had a blueberry flavored Greek yogurt that I was planning to use to flavor the other tiers. So this will be a blueberry vanilla cake. So I just scraped a little bit off the top because the Greek yogurt, or sometimes even people use like sour cream, can like diffuse the boxed cake, like fake kind of flavor, if that makes sense. So like I said, I just used it to kind of get rid of that like chemical fake taste. And then I greased these pans with butter. You can use oil, spray, whatever. I just used what I had on hand. And then you want to separate them as evenly as possible. I'm doing a 4-tiered, or I guess 4-layered cake. So I'm separating the vanilla into cake pans. This is going to be an 8-inch cake. You can use whatever size you would like, but I'm separating them evenly into 2 cake pans, and we're gonna set the oven, or preheat the oven, to 350. I don't really like to say a specific time because I feel like everybody's oven's different, everybody's pans are different, so really you just want to be periodically checking. I would say after like 20-minute mark or so, to just like poke it with a toothpick and see when it's done. And then as soon as they were cooled, or cooled enough where they weren't going to break, I immediately put them and wrapped them in saran wrap. That's just to keep the moisture. So this is the next layer, the blueberry layer. I added food coloring, red and blue, because I just didn't have purple food coloring here, just to kind of give the more like blueberry purple look. And then I smashed up some extra blueberries, added in with that yogurt, just because I felt like after I tasted it, it still needed a little more blueberry flavor. But again, I used the same kind of mix-ins as the other layers. And again, same, you're going to be separating them into the cake pans and putting them in the oven for usually probably around the same amount of time. I also wanted to mention, you want to make sure before you put them in that you're tapping them on the table or any kind of surface to just kind of get out any air bubbles. It will make it cook a lot evener, and just make sure you don't have any gaps and bubbles, you know, the things. So yeah. And then we are going to start on the buttercream. We had a little mishap here. Don't worry, as you can see, I scooped that bitch up. But we're gonna start by whipping this butter. Nothing else in the mixer, just the butter. You can see it goes from a very like yellowy, rich color to a much lighter white after it's whipped enough. So see here, it's very yellow, you know, the usual butter color, and now it's very much white. Nothing else was added. You just want to make sure it's whipped up. The more air that's in there, the lighter the color will be, the fluffier and the lighter the taste will be. And then usually I would sift this icing sugar. Again, I was working with what I had, but you want to add in icing sugar. If you want the exact measurement, sorry, I can't talk clearly, I'll put them in the description, and then always a little salt because I use unsalted butter, and of course this is going to be vanilla buttercream, so some vanilla extract. And a little tip, if you want to get rid of the yellow color, purple cancels out yellow as it would if you use like a whitening toothpaste kind of thing. So just put a little bit of purple. So now I'm going to be just trimming off and evening the tops. I have this little spinning turntable here. If you don't, just put it on like a parchment paper and kind of spin it around. It's easier to kind of maneuver, and just trimming the top layers on all of the layers. This is the blueberry one. It's looking amazing. This honestly tasted so good. It was like a blueberry muffin. Loved it. Still to this day, one of my favorite flavors. And then I'm just going to do a quick, easy rim around the border. This is not really that necessary. I just wanted to make sure that I got enough towards the outside because we are going to be crumb coating this cake. So you want to get a pretty even layer and just stack your layers on top of one another. I decided to alternate the flavors, so a layer of vanilla, a layer of blueberry, and so on and so forth. But just making sure that you're trying to get somewhat even layers, even amount of buttercream in the middle, as you guys will be able to see from the pictures. I like to it just makes it look a little more aesthetically pleasing in my opinion to have like an even amount of buttercream in each layer and the layer is all spaced out correctly. So do what you will, what you can achieve, but this is just my personal technique. And then I put a big dollop of buttercream at the top when I'm starting my crumb coat. It's just easier. I spread it over, let it kind of overlap over the sides, and you'll see it kind of drops over. And then it just kind of makes it easier to spread around the cake like you can see I'm doing here. Now, for a crumb coat, it does not have to be fully coated. You don't have to, make sure it's perfect at this point. We're just getting a layer on the cake to lock in those crumbs. That's what a crumb coat is. Just making sure that everything is locked in so you're not getting any crumbles and crumbs on the outside layer of the cake, especially if you're doing a white cake like I am today. And then you just want to use some type of spatula, serrated kind of thing, not serrated, offset, that's what I meant, just to kind of scrape off the top layers, and then I put it in the fridge. So now we are coating this cake and doing the final ice. So I like to do a much thicker kind of placement of my buttercream when I'm going in to fully ice a cake. Now, is this amount of buttercream going to be on the cake towards the end? I'm hoping not. We're hoping that you don't keep this much amount on. This is just to make it look a lot smoother. So I'm just slapping it on, trying to cover those spots that aren't fully covered. And then you're going to go back in and scrape it. So the scraping is going to be key to, one, get a smooth finish to your buttercream and get all those like air bubbles and marks out. But it makes it a lot easier when you have so much icing on the cake than not enough and you're having to go back in and constantly fill it because you're seeing the cake poke through. That's just my personal technique. I feel like icing a cake is never going to be easy if it's your first time. You really have to feel the cake and kind of do it a few times to figure out what works for you. This is just my personal technique. I've tried many methods, trust me. Sometimes I switch it up depending on the color, like truthfully. Sometimes I don't even feel like I need to crumb coat the cake. But for a white one, I try to always make sure I am, just again to make sure we're locking in those crumbs. So this is just me slapping it on. You know the vibes. We want it thick like me, period. No, but kidding. So yeah, now I'm going in just roughly scraping it with this offset spatula just to kind of get a bit of a smoother base. And then this is honestly all that my mom had, if I'm being honest with y'all. So I really just had to work with what I had. It was not ideal for the height of the cake. It was very short, but I made it work. Again, I just kind of have a little bit more experience, so I was able to do this. But ideally, you want to get a scraper that is taller than your cake just to make sure that it's evenly smoothed all the way across. And as you can see, I'm going back after I even scraped it to add a little more where there's any like dents, holes, air bubbles, all the things. And then I was also scraping the top just to get it kind of a little more uniform. But this is gonna be the most tedious part. You're gonna go in probably 50,000 times to re-scrape, and this is why we put so many, like a lot of buttercream to make a thick layer. As you guys saw, I took the cake away. That was just to put it in the fridge. I find that just freezing it or putting in the fridge for, a few minutes and scraping again while it's cold makes sure that it gets this smooth texture. So as you guys can see, the difference of just going around when it's a little bit chilled to scrape it off makes the world of a difference. And then I'm just doing your generic like shell piping at the bottom here, just to kind of give that like wedding bridal shower-esque vibe. And then I was doing non-edible decor. Again, I just didn't have the time, if I'm being so quite honest with y'all. So I got these little gold like balls, I guess, decorative balls. You can make little cake pops. That would be great, or just like a circle round chocolate mold if you have. And then you could do fresh florals. I chose not to. I have made a fresh florals cake. This was not going to be the one, but I just honestly added what I could find at the store. If I'm being honest, I decided that the flour there was a bit too much, so I had to re-smooth. Did it look amazing? Probably not. Probably could have kept it there, but you know what? It's fine. This is all I had. I did the little finishing touches. It's kind of hard to tell someone how to decorate. You really just have to like move things around, but this is really it, guys. It was super simple. I feel like it looks a lot more professional once all the stuff is on, but the taste is gonna be even better because I now taught you guys how to elevate that box cake mix, girly. So I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to see more baking content, please let me know, because I have baked so many cakes for people and just never filmed it, because it personally wasn't really the content that I was looking to get into. But now that I filmed this one, I'm like, honestly, I need to do this. So let me know. I would love to take any requests that y'all want to see. And this is what the cake looked like I said, with the nice even layers. So aesthetic, and it was so good. Like I said, one of my favorite flavors, and considering I use box cake mix, I'm like, honestly, period. All right, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.